um, while I don't know whether you are still waiting for their responses or not. So, once they've not responded, or since they've not responded, what's the next?
Good, which is why the Lord changed not, according to Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. But he changes his plans. Okay. You understand? Okay. So it's the same thing. When I wrote to David Cameron, he said I should come to House of Commons so that we would discuss this with the interfaith religion there, because they have more insight into it, so that it will be. But that was why the Lord said, you see, he has given you a lead. That is to say, bring the letter to the parliament, the religious bodies, and then he asked me to contact Reverend Eastwood Anaba, whom I met in London at his Marriott Hotel at the time. We spoke for about 45 minutes to 1 hour, and then he said, oh, this is a very controversial topic. Or message. Yeah. He would listen to me again, because he was busy coming to do his crusade in London and Italy. We started talking one way or the other until I came to Ghana to meet his assistant, Reverend or Pastor Clement at Ofanko. I wrote a letter, because the letter was stating that I have to meet Parliament House through Reverend Eastwood Anaba. But then it has to go in line with Dr. Mensa Otabel, Duncan Williams, Pastor Ajina Sari, and then Reverend Sam Kranchankra. These 5 pastors, the Lord revealed to me to come. I've knocked at their doors. They have also...
they are not opening.
They are saying they are busy. Maybe, I don't know, like somebody was telling me that their secretaries will not give them the message. Or I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But the Lord has changed his plan, as you said. The Lord said he doesn't need them anymore. He needs now the media, which is now the 4th arm of government. Good. And then the people of Ghana. That's why he said I should declare it on air. Call the people from age 20 above to put their hands into the New Jerusalem kingdom. If you know that Ghana is the center of the earth or the universe, there is a proof that it is the New Jerusalem. You don't need to worry about any additional understanding. Just accept that Ghana is the center of the earth, and then it gives you an automatic entry into the kingdom of God. Because this is going to be a challenge, as David Cameron said, I should come to the House of Commons. So I've also sent letters to all embassies in Ghana now. That one I did it with EMS, the recorded one. They cannot hide these things. So the plans is changed. So now I need the Ghanaians to come on board. I just need 1/3 of the population. The population stands at 30 million. We just need 1/3.
About 10 million.
About 10 million to make up that Ghana is the New Jerusalem kingdom. So if you ask me that, what are my plans? The Lord has changed the plan. He's saying that at the time that we are going to elections, and then Ghana or Ghanaians are confused with MPP, NDC. It was the plan of God to make Ghana two-party system like UK and like US. And by the time there will be no party to amount to two-party system, that goes back to Genesis chapter 3 as the tree of knowledge of good and evil that he asks us not to touch. Because when MPP is on power, the necessary evil is MPP, which is the good, according to Genesis chapter 2, verse 16. And then the opposition is the evil. The same thing in US. Now Donald Trump is on power.
President,
So he is the necessary evil, but then according to Genesis, he is the good. And then opposition is the evil. The same in the UK. So you can see that at the time that pastors have taken money as they have become rich in the world, now they think they can what? They can compete for presidency. So you can see Osofo Chabosom. Now he has taken all the money from these people. He's okay. The same thing, the heart of the likes of Ajina Sari, Pastor Ajina Sari, Dr. Mensa Otabel, Pastor Mensa Otabel, the likes of Archbishop Duncan Williams, Heward Mills, all of them, in their heart, they have realized that they've reached an echelon or a peak,
the apex,
that they would have loved to be the ruler of the nation, which is the case, because politics started from the Garden of Eden. When they preach that pastors don't do politics, which now it has come all the way against them.
Against them.
Their hands are tied.
Because we now have a pastor running for president.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So why would the pastors or the church, why would the pastors or men of God lie to the church that pastors don't do politics? Politics started from the Garden of Eden. That brought up paganism, that brought up theology from one idiocy. So that cascaded to become polytheism, and then the whole world, was overshadowed by the power of Lucifer. So if you don't understand where politics started, because even politics itself is a kingdom. That's why people worship politics. According to Matthew chapter 19, there are a third which will put their trust in politics. When politics come, they will put their trust, they will die. It's do and die affair.
That's true.
And when it comes to kingship, kings are custodians of the land. I salute every king on the planet, because I've got message across the world: Zulu kingdom, Biafra kingdom, Yoruba kingdom, Ashanti kingdom, Gamanche, Eastern kingdom, Koforidua. And when you go to the north, we've got kingdoms. You understand? When you go to Netherlands, we've got kingdoms. Denmark, we've got. So now, even kings, I've heard so many kings talking about they taking their land to rule their own jurisdiction or their own communal place, to minus the political clout or kingdom. But it is too little, too late, because now that pastors who have amassed riches for themselves or wealth, and they want to rule. That is why I love Netu when they clamp down on Dr. Mensa Otabil and Pastor Ajinasari, who have become shareholders and chair members of certain financial institution. They have taken deposited money, and then the money you have squandered it or quenched it in your own understanding, and they did not know that it was the same principle, which is the righteousness of God, that the 10% that they have taken from the church members are classified as deposited money. So people were bringing the 10% to the church so that they will get it back, because the Bible has said categorically in Acts chapter 15 that the kingdom of God will be set upon King David's throne. But when it is set, he will bring justice and judgment to the world. And the righteousness of God will be said that they will have to pay the money to them. So if you go to Acts chapter 20, verse 31, it says there is more blessing in giving than receiving. So how can somebody who go to church and pay money throughout his livelihood? It's like pension. Now the CEOs, who are the technocrats, and the meritocracy has taken shape, and the self-made people like footballers have also forced in the society to become rich in the society as self-made. And these people have taken the whole world as a surprise, that they have worked in their own way. But the church cannot be taken by pastors to rule. It is a kingdom. So the Lord is looking for a government, which he mentioned in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 27. So we are the government seat of Christ. We are many people who also come in, and we would rule the world from now. So we are separating the world politics, which is a kingdom, because politics is an institution based on religion. Politics is religion. People worship politics. But the pastors don't know. That's why they were initially segregated from politics, by which they should have been part of it. Now that you have taken people's money, then you know you are not afraid of anything. Then the likes of Dr. Mensa Otabil and what they want to become president of this. If you like, go and question any pastor in this one. I'm telling you, it's a challenge.
Well, but they are yet to declare their intention. So,
which is too little, too late. They have not been called to become part of the political kingdom. You know, according to Revelation chapter 13, which I was waiting for the Armageddon War declaration, which have come. God, the institution of Jerusalem kingdom brings down Armageddon War into trigger, that we would discuss the political exploitation, and then the pastoral delusion, and then we would discuss most of the cultural retrogression in the society. You understand? But my point here is the pastors cannot now come out to say that they have merged with the politician, but it was a prophecy in Revelation 30 that they will merge with United Nation, which is called the army of the political kingdom. So they will merge, and at the time that you know that the Lord has to separate his kingdom, because we are waiting for them to, which they are doing now.
Okay, so but this takes me to my next issue. We're looking at the difference between the church and the kingdom. You've said a lot about the kingdom, and that Ghana being declared the New Jerusalem kingdom. Is there any difference between the church and the kingdom?
Yes, there is a vast difference. If you look at the beginning of the church in Matthew chapter 18, that Peter's name had to be surname.
Okay.
That would be the first principle of someone who is called. Because my name originally is Anthony Noble Mensah, but when I was called, the Lord surnamed me to be Ajiman, which is a subscription of Israel, the name Israel in Isaiah chapter 44, verse 4 and 5. It is there.
Okay.
But the name started from Genesis chapter 32, verse 28, as a man who stand in or fight between God and man and standing for his nation. In Akan language, they can understand me better.
Yeah.
As will be our congenial mind.
Yeah.
So that name was given to me, as Peter was also surnamed as Cephas.
Okay.
Then the Lord said, upon this rock I will build my church, which was a code for the city of God, or the government seat of Christ on earth. So the church is a subset of the kingdom of God. Okay. So yeah, so
the kingdom of God is the broad, it's a broad one, and we have the church within the kingdom. Exactly.
So according to the governor's diagram or the Venn diagram, that the church would be maybe the square, and then if you draw a circle in it, that would be the church.
The church, yeah.
You understand?
Okay.
So in other words, the kingdom of God gave birth to
the church.
Okay. Because at the time, as the Lord put it straight in Acts chapter 1, when they asked him that, has the kingdom of God arrived? He said, no, in this generation it has not arrived, but start the work from Galilee, and then start from Judea to the ends of the world. So at the time, it was the church age. That was the emancipation or the spreading of the church. So if you get to Acts chapter 5, thereabout, and 6, when there was severe persecution against the church, the government seat of Christ, which was bestowed upon Peter as Cephas, could not be removed. But then the disciples of Christ scattered. Yeah. And that was why they ended in Antioch, and the name Christianity was coined there. Because the government seat was the apostleship. Because 12 apostles is equivalent to a governor, which is Christ. According to Matthew chapter 2, verses, Christ was born to be a governor. You can pick it from Malachi chapter 5 as well. So now, if you ask me the difference between the church and the kingdom, the church is the city of God. As in every nation, there will be churches. So it's like a river. So there was a prophecy from Genesis chapter 1, verse 9, that let every rain that falls, which is a code for humanity or mankind, let it turn or join a river, and then gather itself to the sea, which is called the He Sea, Genesis chapter 1, verse 9. So the same thing was repeated in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 7 and 8. Solomon said that every generation there is a dispensation, but let all rivers run to the sea. So there is no pastor who has been called, or there is no Christian who so-called be the leader of any church would say that the church is mine. It is not biblical. It is not. Then you have taken the judgment to yourself. You cannot say I started the church 40 years ago, and who can now take the church for me?
So nobody can claim ownership of any church.
No, you can't. Even Vatican cannot claim ownership of Roman Catholic Church.
But they started them, so why they can't claim ownership?
The reason they can't claim ownership is that once the New Jerusalem Kingdom is set, they will bring royalties to the New Jerusalem Kingdom. That is to say they are under it, which is the beginning of what I said in Revelation chapter 11, verse 15.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
At the end of the day, every fig tree, every kingdom will have his fig tree. If you this one, you can also read it from Malachi chapter 4, and then Zechariah chapter 7 and 8. It's there. Okay. Every nation will have his fig tree and vine tree. In other words, you worship your own gods. Because the Lord has done the whole thing in such a way that there are some people he doesn't want them to worship him. But then they brought their royalties to King Solomon. That was why he said King Solomon was the richest man in his generation. You understand? Okay. So you would pay your dividends, your tithe, and your surplus in your banking institution to King Solomon. It's the same thing.
So is that the tithe we pay?
That comes back to the 10%. That's why it is not DS. So the Church of God was built by members. That's why he said if the eye say he's not part of the hearing, then he's not part of the body.
Okay.
The head cannot say he does not need the
legs,
the feet or the foot. Then he's not part of the body. So the Lord created the universe. He said that he put the smallness in greatness and greatness in smallness. In other words, the weak should support the strong, and then the strong should support the weak. That is Romans chapter 14. You can get it from the first verse, and then Romans chapter 15. So it is bestowed upon the weak people to work 6 days so that they will bring their tithe or their contribution to the church. And then the Lord has set those who has not sown anything because they have not been given the power to sow. That one is in John chapter 4, verse 35 coming. He says, the pastors are reaping where they bestowed no labor. So the Lord created the universe. He said, Lord, that the less people or the weak people or the voiceless will work. It's like Proverbs chapter 6 or say Okajufor, the ants. That's it. So you know how they work. They have their queen, their king, their governors, their officers, and the whole kingdom is structured. Yeah. It's the same as human beings. That's why he was using the ant as analysis towards mankind. Okay. So the society is structured in such a way that people have to work 6 days. And then he has also come out with the nobles. This one, you can pick it from Exodus chapter 35 and then Exodus chapter 36. You know, when the Lord called Moses, he asked Moses to call Ahilubah and then Bezalel. Ahilubah, he gave them 3 Spirit of God. You know, there are 7 eyes of God, which comes with the rainbow colors. The rainbow colors is the 7 eyes of God. Yeah, okay. But you can get its interpretation in Isaiah chapter 11. The Spirit of God, the might, the fear, knowledge, wisdom, and I think one is that is the 7. Okay. But what I'm saying is that he gave 3 spirits to the architects to design the kingdom of God. It is there. You can check it in Exodus chapter 34. It is there. So now, in every society, that's why we have leaders to go to parliament who become lawmakers. Yeah, lawmakers. In every society, that is the design or the architectural design of Christ, because he is the architecture of the universe. So every society, there should be people who work, and then people who have wisdom. He's giving wisdom to people above above their hand. So they would teach them or guide them to safety. You can't do away with that. Okay. So exactly what he said, that the pastors have what? They have bestowed no labor. They are just reaping where they did not sow. So far on some kind, on 9 kind, and now we'll see, sorry, or the idea. It's a misconception or a blasphemy. It can't be so. So, like I'm saying, and it's like the same thing is equivalent to kingdoms. When you take Zulu Kingdom, and I have been in the UK, and I'm here under the Ashanti Kingdom. In the UK, the royalties goes to the king, or
the queen.
The queen.
Okay.
And there will be tax returns. So any taxation that we are taking in the UK, due to the work we are doing, you will get returns. Because in society, or when we went to the tertiary institution or university, sociology teaches us that you take taxes from the people to discipline the nation, or to govern the nation. That is why GRA and custom and all the other areas where taxation should be taken from are taken, and then we use it to discipline the system. But unfortunately, African leaders are not so. They take the taxes and then they use it for their flamboyant things. They take the money to someone else's country like Switzerland, UK, America, and Dubai to purchase things for their own and for their family. But then that is why there has been bloodshed now in recent even political game. Starting from the MPP primaries, you witness a lot of bloodshed,
violence,
or violence. It is because people are fed up. You cannot eat and leave the voiceless. You see, that's why tithe or taxation is taken, so that every 1 year or every 3 years you bring the tithe to the people, and then they put it in their investment or in their areas of work to bring the money back, according to Malachi chapter 3 verse 8 to 10, that bring more money into my storehouse and I'll give it back to you. That's why he said, and a whole nation has cheated on me. See, so the 10%, it's not centering on one person, it's a whole kingdom. So when the Lord said in Malachi chapter 3, so we have to question that Malachi chapter 3 verse 8, that has some people brought the money? If indeed they have brought, then who collected?
Yes, that's what I was coming to ask. Who takes the 10% or the tithe, and what is it supposed to be used for?
Thank you. This is a very controversial topic on its own, but let's roll on it. Yes, as I said, that the people who are supposed to work 6 days are the church members. If you go to the banking sector, you call them depositors.
Okay.
Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying I'm happy that Netu took upon that thing, because Ghanaians don't understand why we are clamping down on pastors and to say that the money is for them. The money is not for the pastors.
Okay.
They have no right to take depositors' money. In other words, the church money. Because the church money has got its various way of using it. As I was talking about Bezili, the project money comes from the 100%. You understand? Every Sunday or Saturday, when you go to church, the money that is collected into the basket, you divide it by 10. The pastor takes his wage to do the projects and everything. The church committee has to use 90% of the money that comes in. 10% is a surplus put in for the children of God. It is not for the servants of God, because pastors are servants of God.
Okay.
That is why he said in John chapter 8 that a servant cannot stay in the house of God forever, but the son stays forever. Okay. So, for instance, if you take Pentecost, every pastor who is maybe pastoring, let's say, Makion in Asukwa Pentecost, or wherever in Akumadan, or wherever in Eastern region, they are servants, and they will be intermittently moved to various areas after maybe some years. So the servant cannot stay in the household forever. But when you go to a Krapim and you are going to Pentecost, or when you go to Dachepramso and you are going to Pentecost, the people in the area, they are in the church forever. Yes. So you as a servant, when you come, you are employed and you have your wage. See that?
So they are supposed to be paid.
Of course, every pastor called is supposed to be paid according to the scriptures. It's there when you take Numbers chapter, if you read Numbers chapter 7 and Numbers chapter 8 is there. Even when the 3 Levites were called, the first 2 were given wagon. In this age, you say it is 4x4 or V8.
Okay.
They were giving wagons and then the horse, the chariots.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they were called as tax collectors. Every pastor is a tax collector. There are two main functions for the church. The governorship is the seat of Christ, which the apostles were doing in Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. And then the disciples who were scattered for the dispensation of the kingdom of God to take place, okay, which they call them Christians, were bringing the royalties to the feet of the poor saints in Jerusalem. Paul used to collect it. You can check it from 1 Corinthians chapter 16. So my point is that pastors have been called as tax collectors, mm-hmm, to take taxes, but you bring it to the government seat of Christ. It is the style of collection is even in 1 Chronicles chapter 9, from verse 17 going. There are 4 gates that have been set as east, west, north, and south. So all the Levites, yeah, who have been sent to take the tithe or the taxes, mm-hmm, they bring it to the porter's gate, because there are 4 porters who guide, and there is one porter who has to oversee all the money collected. So, but they have their payment already before they bring the 10%. Okay. So, okay, if you don't understand the economics or the ergonomics of the scriptures, the design of the scriptures, don't even think that you've been called. Because if you are called by theology and then you're thinking you are preaching prosperity, which is key. Prosperity is key. That's why people are fighting. Okay. Because there is nobody. Yes, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 8, if you study 1 Corinthians chapter 8, the Lord died for us to be rich. He took our poverty so that we will be rich. There should be equality. Equity must set in. Yes. Equity must set in. Isaiah chapter 59, it says, I'm looking for judgment, but there is no judgment. I'm looking for justice. There is no justice. Equity has to enter, and it cannot enter because of double standard and hypocrisy in the church.
In that case, why do we have so many poor people in the church? Because when you go to the church, you will realize that you will find some very few people who may be rich, but a very majority of them might be poor. If Christ indeed died for us to be rich, then why do we have so many poor people in the church?
Thank you very much. It's exactly where the end time has come to, that the Armageddon war has set in, which there should be the New Jerusalem kingdom set to bring judgment and justice to the church. But that is calling for separation, because in political kingdom, they will always serve their people. You know, I told you when they went to the primaries, yeah, these parliamentarians, mm-hmm, have to foot the bills of these delegates or whichever you, mm-hmm, call them. Yeah. That is the way forward. And then you are saying the delegates will take money and they will not vote for you. Then you say fear delegates. No, that doesn't make sense. They have their judgment at the time with them. So they would prove who is to rule or who is to go to parliament. The same thing is happening in the church. You are telling me that there are rich people in the church. They are not rich people. They are thieves. They are all technocrats. Let me set the record straight. They are CEOs of and civil servants in ministries and in any institution, banking sector. Yeah. They dupe people's money and then come
to enrich themselves.
And come and show off in churches. You can get it from Matthew chapter 23. Those who would go and then their seat has been arranged or reserved for them. Yeah. It's all there. That is hypocrisy. For that is the Phariseeism or the Sadducees and the Herodians. You understand? So if you say that there are some rich people in the church, I would disagree with you. The reason that I'm disagreeing is that they stole money from the government and then came into the church to raise their own self-holiness and self-righteousness in quest. And then the voiceless and then the poor and needy will continue to suffer. But blessed are the peacemakers. We are peacemakers, but they are peacekeepers. So when we make the peace and they are to keep the peace, mm-hmm, they breach the loyalty of peace. And now, whenever there is some sort of violence to erupt, yeah, they call for peace. Meanwhile, we were the peacemakers. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about those of us, mm-hmm, who served, because without servanthood, there is nothing like masterhood. We have served. Okay. realistically, animals and humanity.
Okay.
Human beings are coded to serve one another. You understand? The thin line between humanity and animals.
Okay.
So if we have served in the church, and you are CEOs of companies or banks, ministries, you steal government money and then you bring it to the house of God, you call yourself to be rich. Fine. Because it's coded or written in Luke chapter 6 that the rich people have got their consolation. And
on earth.
On earth. Luke chapter 6, you can check from 24 to 26. The rich people. But the rich people now are the pastors who have said the church is their church. I'm talking about charismatic churches, one-man churches. So if you ask that question, that has brought the skewness, as I'm discussing about the inequality in the church. That you even call these young girls and young boys harlots or prostitutes. But they do prostitution to bring money to the church.
Yeah, to take care of themselves.
Yes, and some pastors too have gone behind their wives to even take the young girls in the churches. Everybody knows this. I'm not here to come out with their secrecy or what they are doing behind the scenes. It's all there. Even I love this lady, Mama Born Again, who came on Net2 to expose this, and I'm thanking about 2-3 pastors who also helped Net2 to bring out all the shrouded things they do behind the scenes in the church. So these are areas that is known already. It's not my take. My take is the kingdom of God and the equity that has not set in, which comes with the 10%. Are you getting my point? So bringing it back to your understanding, if I have worked 6 days to bring money into the church, the Lord has said that after every year I have to get my dividends back.
How?
Your pastors who are put there in their microfinances banks. The money is not supposed to be put in their microfinances bank, and I insist, there is no commandment in this world, if not Ghana, that pastors are sitting down for radio presenters to use God's name throughout the day and mock our God. No radio presenter or TV presenter that has been called by Christ. They are journalists. They should stay in their vocation that the Lord has called them. Enough is enough by using the name of our God in vain. It's the reason why Ghana is sinking. I'm warning Ghanaians that Ghana is the new Jerusalem kingdom, and nobody should be allowed to use the Bible to swear in any court, because you don't believe our God, which is King David's throne. We have come to stay. We are ruling the world. And my point is that it's been a time that Ghanaians should be enlightened that it is not what you believe that the Constitution of Ghana will allow you to swear on.